In this video, I'm going to show you how to ensure you have discipline set up correctly so you can enter incidents. First thing we want to do is type in the cheater the word discipline. And we are going to go to discipline administration. It is the first item returned in the results, and we want discipline codes types. In this drop down, there's quite a few codes, but there are only 3 that are absolutely necessary for EMIS reporting. And those are action codes. That is the student's punishment. There are infraction type. That is the rule they broke. And then we have victim type codes. Let's start with infraction type codes. My advice would be to put the EMIS reportable infractions in all caps, and then I have chosen to add the non-EMIS infractions in lowercase. And I like to sort this by the code so you can actually see. So truancy relates to an EMIS code 01, and you want to make sure that you have an infraction for every EMIS code. I'll show you where to find those EMIS codes in a moment. Also, I want to point out I have 2 18s. So I have disruption to school corresponds to an EMIS code of 18, and disrespectful to staff corresponds to an 18. That's okay to do. You can have as many 18s as you want. And notice I've named one 18.1 and 18.2. Now, if I open up another browser and I'm going to search for Ohio Department of Education. So I'm doing a Google search, and the first thing that comes back is the Department of Education, and then you want to go EMIS manual. And what is returned is this first one here. You scroll down and we have all the sections. You can come down here to student discipline, and I want version 8.12. That's the latest. And if we keep scrolling, it will tell us all the codes. So here's where they start on page 6 of 14. So I need to make sure that I have every one of these covered in my infraction types. And I've also added extra, like dress code is a violation, but it's not EMIS reportable. Driving, parking, I've got tardiness, bus violation, public displays of affection, etc. But I do not have those linked to an EMIS code, which is fine because those are not EMIS reportable. Next, let's talk action. So this is the student's punishment. You want to make sure that you have all of the EMIS reportable ones entered also. If we go back to the EMIS guide and we keep scrolling, page 10 starts the punishments. There are only 6 of them, if I can count right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, notice there's no number 5 anymore. So you want to make sure that you have all 6 entered. Then at my district, we also have action codes that aren't EMIS reportable. So when we give a student a Saturday school, when we suspend them from using the parking lot, those are not EMIS reportable. Finally, let's talk about the victim type code. This is EMIS reportable, and so when you have an incident where you've used the victim tab of the discipline incident, and I'll show that in another video, the victim type you choose is actually reported to EMIS. Okay, let's talk about these other codes here. All the rest of these are optional, but they will help you with your federal civil rights reporting if you use them. This arrest code. Now, everyone probably has items in here because they were mass loaded. If I come down here to another one, I want to specifically point out incident place code. I have added cafeteria, hallway, off school grounds, in the restroom, at recess. So I can use these when I enter a discipline incident, and then when I run my reports, I can say, well, how many of these incidents are taking place in the cafeteria? How many of these incidents are taking place in the restroom? So now let's go to the actual discipline incident, because there are a couple things I want to point out. So I'm going to type discipline again in the cheater. And remember, the cheater's the go-to. Returns all of these, and I want discipline incident. I'm a terrible speller, and I always spell this word wrong, so I'm just searching for discipline, and it returns all of these results, and I want discipline incidents. When you enter something on this discipline incident page, there's no way to get rid of it. I cannot delete this test one, and I've linked to student Ruth Acevedo. I was just practicing and I entered this. There's no way to get rid of this line. However, you can go action. You can remove Ruth from it, so it's no longer hooked to her. I can also say cancel here and hit update. Oh, I actually also want to change this to canceled and update. So now, when I go back to the discipline incidents, Ruth is no longer hooked to it. Again, you're never going to be able to remove this line. It will always stay there, but at least it's canceled, says test, and there are no kids hooked to it. Another thing I want to mention, I'm going to open this existing discipline incident for Ruth. I'm going to click Actions, View, Edit. There are two drop downs here. This drop down is actually pulling from your building's rooms and locations maintenance. So if your hallway, your restroom is not listed on here, that's okay. Just use this on school property. This is where I have added restroom, recess, and I did that in the codes. Again, this is being pulled from your rooms and locations. That's where these numbers and codes are coming from. Other thing I want to mention is you can enable teachers to start the discipline incident in their gradebook. And how you do that, you have to make sure you get that turned on. You want to go over into gradebook, and if you are master or school support, you have all these items that I have on my home page. So someone with the school support role or master, I'm sorry, not school support, school administrator. Master or school administrator needs to come into school features, and they would go to this discipline tab and make sure discipline is enabled. That allows teachers to start the discipline incident in their gradebook. And there'll be another video showing how teachers do that and what teachers see.